Good morning, everybody. We are joined with some very special guests. If you haven't caught us before, this is the Coffee and VR show. We go live every Saturday. We do have somebody missing. Tyler is MIA. We've been looking for him, can't find him, not sure where he's at. I know some people did see his face on a milk carton, but we're not worried about Tyler today because we have two very special guests that are really going to help us out today. We got some really good topics. So if you don't know, over here sitting next to me at the coffee bar is Gamer Tag. So very glad to have him join us. And on the TV, we have Gaming Science Teacher. So I'm sure most of the people that do watch this show are very familiar with these two. They're very active in the VR community all the time. And so they're going to be great fits for today. We are going to get into some tough topics with the coronavirus. And we've talked about this a little bit ahead of the show and how VR can really help with this. And just there's so many options with VR that it opens up the door. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off with what you guys have been playing this week. If you want to start us off, Gaming Science Teacher, for anything you've been doing in the VR world and how that's been going.
Well, I've been incredibly busy as usual, and normally I don't get any time for VR at all during the week. But this month I'm trying my best to participate in a 30-day fitness challenge for the month of March. And I decided to, of course, do a VR fitness challenge. So I'm trying to do 30 minutes of Beat Saber a day. So a few times I've actually gotten my butt up early enough to do it before work, or I'll come home and try and get that 30 minutes of Beat Saber in. And that's been about it recently.
How many calories do you burn when doing Beat Saber for 30 minutes, roughly?
Probably not enough.
Oh, right.
Do you have
I
like
don't
a
think it makes
Fitbit
that big of a dent.
Do you have any kind of calorie tracker or anything like that you use?
No, I own a Microsoft Band, which is kind of like Microsoft's version of a Fitbit. I haven't worn it for a long time, though. It's really clunky. It's kind of uncomfortable on your wrist. Tends to get in the way, but and I think the calorie burn on that for me is probably negligible. I've got to focus more on what I'm eating or not eating.
Yeah, but I mean, even 30 minutes, like a lot of people, don't always get 30 minutes of physical exercise in every day, especially for people that have jobs like, well, teachers probably get a little more, but people that have sit-down jobs, where they're sitting down in a cubicle or an office, I mean, 30 minutes does make a difference. And talking about that, we've been doing a similar thing where we're trying to work. We've been getting up earlier every morning to specifically try to get some kind of workout in. And we've been using VR as well. We've been using Box VR and a little bit of Thrill of the Fight and stuff like that. But we've been playing Box VR almost every morning, me and my wife, and she is still usually kicking my butt, which is very hard to talk about. But
I was going to say, man, I think
yeah.
Thrill of the Fight was still
the
the most exhausting game that I played in virtually. I think.
Yeah, me too. I agree. It kicks my butt. I mean, I can barely breathe. I'm taking that minute a lot of times that you get in between rounds just to try to catch my breath and be able to move.
Man,
it's terrible.
Creed is a Punisher. I think you only get like 10 seconds or something stupid like that. I was like, what
and you have to like use your arms real fast to try to get back when you get knocked down. And
it's intense. Tough.
It's intense. So what have you been up to this week, GT?
Man, what have I been up to this week? I checked out Doom in VR chat, which is pretty cool. I did a full knee replacement surgery operation.
That looks terrible. I remember seeing the trailer a long time ago. I don't think I could stomach it.
It's weird. It's like one of the things I didn't put in the video, which I was gutted about, just through editing and making a mistake, was you could like put your finger in the bit and the skin sort of moves a little bit. And it was only half. Oh yeah, it's horrible. Like, it did me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? I felt very cringy, and like your skin crawls a little bit. It was hard, but it wasn't overly hard. But it isn't pleasant. Right. I think the worst bit is when you slice stuff. For me, for some reason, and then manipulating it as well. You could, it weren't good. And then I checked out Covert on PlayStation VR, which is like a local co-op game. Well, I say local co-op. It doesn't have to be local co-op. You download the app. And like people I was saying to, what you can do is just use the voice channels in Discord and you can chat to each other and play the game together. And that's pretty cool. So someone's in VR and that you basically got to like break into a bank or something, and there's lasers and puzzles, and the person with the mobile phone has to help you do that stuff.
Those are getting pretty popular. We saw a lot of those at PAX, and we had a lot of fun playing those kind of games, where you have one person in VR and one person out of VR, which is great because, not everybody has multiple VR headsets. So even local stuff, when you can do that locally, when you can have a friend over and you can be in VR and they can still interact and you can switch, you can switch back and forth, see who can do better in which role. It's actually a lot of fun. So I haven't played that one in particular, but they are.
I think that's new on PlayStation, but it's an older game anyway. I'm pretty sure on PC VR and stuff. But that was the beauty of PlayStation VR, where it had the social screen. So automatically, I think there was like a game called Black Hat Cooperative, pretty much the same thing.
Nice.
But and what was the other one where you defuse bombs? So the person
keep talking and nobody explodes.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, because I said it wrong. I said nobody talks and everyone explodes or something.
That can be bad.
So yeah, basically, I got it the wrong way. But yeah, so on that one, it's really good because the social screen's used for the instructions on how to defuse the bomb, and you've got to tell the person virtually how to do it while they're in there. That's really cool. It's a really good game.
It is cool.
And then I checked out Zero Caliber because that's been updated and is now coming to PlayStation VR. Really, really high quality now. I think that game. There's still some issues with it, but it's still like kind of in beta. But it's definitely getting up there. And then I checked out Hyperdash, which you can only get currently through the developers Discord. It is on the Rift and it's on the Quest, and it is amazing. Like, it's so much fun.
I got to get in there. I have not played that one, but that is everything I've heard about it. People love it. Like, people think it's fantastic. So what is it exactly? Like, I know it's a like a PvP multiplayer shooter, but what makes it unique?
What makes it unique? And I don't really like dropping. We was talking before we went live about karting games, the Mario Kart VR. I hate doing that. I know it probably gets clicked, but I hate saying stuff. But this game, for me, is like a mix of Robo Recall, Overwatch, because of like the game mode in it, where you've got a payload to get from one end of the attackers to another, which is a great game mode in multiplayer. And it's also like Sunset Overdrive. Because you get to like grind on rails to get different segments and stuff, and there's tunnels, and it's just really quick, really fast. There's no real downtime apart from when you're celebrating a win or whatever, you know what I mean, and then going into the next round and stuff. And it needs to be an official game. Yeah, it really does need to get on the store.
Yeah.
Because it's so good, and like graphically, I was so impressed by it. I was just like, this is no slouch game. This is a bloody good game, you know. So
what do they have for locomotion options? I know that's one of the things, at least for Quest. They like to have, they like to cater to the new people that don't quite have the VR legs yet.
So the way it moves around, being Hyperdash, is actually teleportation. Pretty much, you teleport everywhere, but you can freeloc as well at the same time, but the free locomotion's quite slow. It's a walk pace, it's not a run. And yeah, I don't know, it felt really comfy. I mean, I didn't get anything from it. I didn't really explore the comfort options, to be honest, because I'm pretty bad in the sense that normally I just slam them all off and just dive straight in,
Me too.
Yeah, it's probably not the best thing to do, which is why while live streaming it's quite good, because people can say to me, oh, can we have a look at the options or something? But yeah, when I pre-make a video, I forgot about it, to be honest. But yeah, there was click turn, if sure. Then everything was teleportation based. And one of the things I noticed is they leave trails. So when you're teleporting around, you always leave a trail of the color of your team, and that gives you that extra couple of, or maybe a second or so, to see where someone's gone. Because teleport is really quick, isn't it? Kind of thing,
Yeah, that's hard sometimes in a multiplayer game.
Yeah. So you've got like a tail of color. So yeah, now and again you'll turn and you'll see a flash of color. You think there's someone over there, and you can chase them.
And it's the other team if it's their team color. Yeah, that's a pretty cool aspect. So we do have a bunch of people in chat. We got let's see, Flexnick is saying wow, he grew a beard fast. So I think he's talking about Tyler. It grew a beard really fast. But,
yes, I did. I've been found and
awesome.
I've grown a beard.
James said, I've been getting notifications that gaming science teacher beat my expert scores. I'm guessing he's talking about it in Beat Saber. So man, that's pretty good. So do you primarily play on expert gaming science teacher?
Right now I'm hovering around expert, and I've been just kind of going down the list of songs, um, all standard songs, and I own the Imagine Dragons and Green Day pack, and I've been going down the list trying to full combo all the songs on normal and trying to full combo everything on hard,
That's
and then
awesome.
I'm passing songs on expert. I'm not ready for expert plus though.
Yeah, I actually can't do that either. I'm not like I like Beat Saber, but I'm not one of those guys that plays Beat Saber like all the time. Well, I know some people like that's their go-to game. I like Beat Saber, but I don't play it enough to get like that expert plus or anything like that. I definitely need
Same.
some more practice in Beat Saber. But another one we did play was the Synth Riders, and I know GT talks about that all the time because they added the
Oh, does it?
multiplayer. Yeah, so well, you used to. I know you were talking about that for a while, and me and my
Yeah.
wife did the multiplayer in Synth Riders too as part of the workout. But we're not good in that. It's like the thing is with Beat Saber and like that kind of game, I feel like you have to get to that level of being really good before you're getting like a really good workout. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing those games on the easier settings, I don't feel like I'm moving enough and stuff to get as good of a workout as I do in some other games. But
I think you're right. Beat Saber is definitely more of a workout on the higher levels, especially
yeah,
I think when you do the 90-degree or the
right.
360. But yeah, as I said, Thriller Fight earlier, but also not forgetting Pistol Whip.
Yeah, yeah,
Pistol
yeah.
Whip is a brilliant full
Oh
body
yeah, it's
workout.
fantastic. Is anybody doing
You
the
know,
competition? Or I know there are some people on our Discord and stuff that have talked about they're trying to do the competition with Pistol Whip. Are either one of you guys interested in that at all?
I am interested in it. I'm more interested in promoting it. I've been in
Yeah,
contact and stuff, and I'm going to try and help it. But I don't know if I'll be good enough.
I don't
Do you
either.
know what I
I don't
mean?
even think I stand a chance against some of the people. There's no
No, I
way.
think I'm just okay. I'm probably just above average because there's like a couple of guys I know, they play it a lot, and sometimes just by accident I'll beat their score,
Yeah.
and they'll be in the chat and they'll be like, I'm not having that, and they'll just straight away. I think one of them
Right.
left the live stream to go and beat me and come back and go, ha! Done
That's
it. I was
awesome.
like, look, man, it's just
That is awesome. Well, speaking of that, James M said that he's lost 25 pounds since Christmas, and I'm guessing
that's
VR has
amazing.
probably been part of that, which is, yeah, that's awesome. So that's really good work. Healthy
It's
portions for
8%,
meals,
8%
no
diet.
eating after 6:30. So that is one of the things that me and my wife have been trying to do too. That a lot of times we would eat dinner really late into the day. So that's another thing we're trying to implement into
Yeah.
the fitness aspect is not eating dinner and stuff so late, trying to eat earlier and all that. Flexnick said, I've tried Box VR and holy smokes. Oh man, it just moved. I lost it.
What's up?
I was reading his thing, and then somebody else said something, and it moved my chat to where I lost what he was saying. Holy smokes, it gets to me fast. He was talking about Box VR. So Rizzle Rock. So Rizzle Rock donated $4.99 and said, "Find Tyler Fund. Where is he? No one knows." No
Hiding
one
behind the
knows.
beard.
Yeah, yeah. We have a fill-in, but I don't know if you're really fooling anybody. That
A British accent.
yeah. Tyler grew a beard and learned an accent pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is awesome. So it seems like there are a lot of people right now using VR as part of a fitness routine, which I think we'll get into some more of that aspect a little bit later in the show. But
Cool.
yeah, so another thing we did talk about before we went on is I was kind of curious to see from you all what your most anticipated game of 2020, because we have a lot of VR, and I think even with the E3 stuff getting canceled, I know we're still going to be getting the E3 VR showcase from Upload, and I know that they have talked about a lot of new games that are coming out. So I think thank you to Axel Costella just subscribed. I do think there are going to be a lot of games coming out that we don't know about as of yet, but there are a lot of games in 2020 that we do know that are supposed to be coming in 2020. So I asked everybody what their most anticipated game. There was one caveat to this. I told everybody they were not allowed to pick Half-Life Alyx because that is obviously a huge, massive game, and it comes out in what did we say, like 9 or 10 days from now, anyways. March 23rd. Yeah. So it's so close to coming out. We know the release date, so we're gonna keep that one off the list so nobody can vote for that one. So why don't we go ahead with Gaming Science Teacher for what your pick was? And I do have a little bit of a trailer, but go ahead and let them know what your pick is.
Yeah, my most anticipated game right now is Snowdrift, and we know almost nothing about it. So they
Yeah, I'm the
teased
same.
this. They teased it in a sizzle reel at Oculus Connect just this past fall, and there were a few very brief, if you blinked, you might have missed it, clips in there. It is being developed by Perilous Orbit, but they have put no media or marketing out. There's no trailer. All we got was that little teaser at Oculus Connect, but it appears to be a cold weather survival game. I saw it and I immediately thought, well, this looks like someone took The Long Dark and rethought it for VR. And I've played The Long Dark. I really enjoy it. And I love this, possibly Canadian, cold weather setting. I love the survival aspect, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and like you said, there's almost no information because like when I asked these questions, I kind of had a couple games in my mind that I thought maybe you guys would pick, and this one totally blew me away. I was like, wait, what? Like not one I was expecting. So I actually had to, gaming science teacher sent me the clip from where they announced this at Oculus Connect. So there was just, like she said, a real short clip of it. And there's not much info out there really at all. But from what we see here, the little bits of it, it looks fantastic. And this is coming to Quest. I mean, this is a game that they're saying is coming to Quest. So, I mean, this is definitely, I think this is probably one that's not on a lot of people's radars, really. I really think so. I think this was a really good choice. I was really surprised by that. So this is cool. And we don't even know any kind of anticipated release date, right?
Nope. I mean, I would assume since they showed it off last fall, I would assume it's sometime in 2020, but you never know. Maybe they've run into something and maybe it's going to be delayed further, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that the problem is with a lot of these, the shows getting canceled with GDC, F8 canceled, E3, pretty much everything. I don't know if we're going to get any more shows, big show conventions this year, maybe an Oculus Connect because that's towards more the end of the year. But I think that a lot of these games like this, we were probably going to get a lot more footage of them, a lot more, talk about it, maybe some more info, release dates. And I think we're still going to get some of that. I know a lot of them have talked about still doing and putting out the information, but it's not going to be in the same form as what it normally is, with large gatherings of people. I do know with the HTC one, we talked about that on the last episode, and they are going to be doing a virtual conference style thing. I did sign up for that. The link is in the last Coffee and VR, but I did sign up for that. I haven't downloaded the program and stuff to be able to run that. But if anybody's wondering, if you do sign up, you can choose which headset you want to watch it in. So they have the options of the Oculus Quest, the Oculus Rift, cool. Valve Index, HTC Vive. So all of that stuff is in there. So I think it'll be cool. And I know we talked about last time if Facebook Horizons could be done in time for F8 and we could have a complete conference for F8 where everybody gets to go to it in VR. I just think would be, and what better platform than Facebook Horizons to kick that off, right?
Yeah, it'd be awesome, dude. That'd be amazing.
You guys might not be able to say, but has anybody got any beta testing emails for? Man, me neither.
No, I signed up.
Me too.
I actually thought I had a really good shot because one of the first questions they asked in that survey was whether you're male or female. And I thought, well, maybe they really want to try and gender balance this. Right. And probably way more guys are going to sign up. Maybe I have a good shot. I didn't get anything.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I had my wife sign up for it as well because she has an Oculus account. And I was like, well, at least, maybe if she gets it, then I can at least see, the early stuff. So yeah, I guess that plan didn't work out how we hoped. But unless they're still coming out, I know they just started coming out, so I don't know if they're, what their plan is for rolling out.
I've not heard. I mean, I'm in contact with a lot of people, and I've not heard anyone mention that they're in there yet. So
yeah, I haven't. I think there was somebody on our Discord when it first started coming out that they said that they got an email. I can't remember who that was. But
yeah, I've had nothing, dude. But
yeah, I did see someone post the email on the Oculus Quest subreddit, confirming that they were invited and they hadn't signed the NDA yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
so they're trying to get that out there before they sign the NDA. Sneaky.
Yeah, That's cool.
So what was your choice, GT, for most anticipated game?
Well, I just want to say,
yeah, I know
I don't like picking one game. All right, I don't like it. Hard. I like multiple games on multiple platforms, so it's very hard. But I actually went with Sniper Elite because I've played it. I think it's awesome. It's but when I say this, there's like 1% in between other games. Do you know what I mean? It's like
right.
It's crazy. Well, so I think when it comes to Sniper Elite, it's because there's so much more to play, and for me to discover in it, I've just played a certain segment from EGX. Which is that's been cancelled over here, that show. So unfortunately, but yeah, it would have to be Sniper Elite at the moment.
Yeah, and I think when I asked you this question, you sent me 3 at first. I said, no,
yeah,
only
like,
one.
Why make me do this?
I know. It was just something I figured it would be cool, having some guests on, just because, I mean, there are so many games in 2020 that are coming that we do know about, as far as across Quest, PC VR, PSVR. I mean, there are a lot of games coming, and there's some, like, I think at the end of last year sometime, there was a big hype around all of these games that were coming. It was probably around Oculus Connect and stuff, but there's a lot of games that we haven't talked as much about, or that people don't really think about as much because it's been a little while since we've seen a new trailer or people have talked about it. So, and there's a lot of people who have just gotten into VR too that don't know a lot of these. So I thought it would be cool to put you guys on the spot and make you pick one. Gaming Science Teacher, she didn't seem to have a problem at all just picking one. It was like, she's like, that's an easy question. So I was like, all right.
I've got all my fingers and toes in all the different pies. I'm always talking to developers and stuff, and it's like, there's so many great games that, I just want to give a shout. Like Phantom Covert Ops is something everyone should look forward to. I can't talk any more about it, but that is definitely a game.
Yeah,
that people need to look forward to.
And I have a feeling that's coming pretty soon. I don't know for sure, but
the Rune VR, A Dark Matter, was a close second for me. I'm really looking forward to that one too. I love escape room games, and that one should be really soon. I think it's within the next week or so.
I think I played that one. Oh, the beta. The Room VR Dark Matter. The Room. Yeah. Let me check.
So for some reason we have somebody in chat that is posing.
That's amazing.
We have somebody in chat posing as Tyler. I would just like throw that out there. He said, okay, guys, just busted out of quarantine. I actually haven't heard from Tyler much at all lately, so I really was a little concerned. So I don't know if that's actually him in chat or if that's just somebody posing as him. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, that Room VR is a superb game. I really, really enjoy playing that one. That's great.
We got a little bit of a Gaming Science Teacher changing sizes over there. We were afraid of this. We've had these issues. Hopefully it doesn't do it too much. But like you said, there are so many games to choose from. It really is hard to pick. And for me, I had multiples too. Population 1 is one that I keep talking about that I've been really excited for. I think it's going to be a game changer. But I've talked a lot about that game, so I didn't think it was fair to choose that. And again, it's like the most difficult scenario, like to really narrow it down to one. But there was one game that popped into my head that I don't feel like a lot of people have really been talking a whole lot about lately, but it's a pretty big game coming, and that is After the Fall. And there's one big reason why I picked this game, and it is because of the co-op, the multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, man.
I'm a huge fan of Saints and Sinners. I love the game. I think it's a blast to play. But I so badly want to play it with somebody else. I just think it's so cool to be able to see things in VR. You find something crazy and you want to show somebody. Like, I want to pick it up and be like, dude, look at this, and hand it to you, And so for me, this is the makers from Arizona Sunshine, Vertigo Games. And that was one of the games that me and Tyler early on played together through the whole campaign, and that was one of those first games that was like, man, like, this is so powerful to be able to do this together. And that, it's just, I don't know, it's just totally different than playing flat games together. So for me, this is one that popped into my head because I knew of the fact of it being, multiplayer, co-op, all of that. So that was one I'm really excited. And I think this one hopefully may be coming pretty soon as well. But
yeah, just want to say, like, I've played this, and when it comes to like the graphics of Arizona to this, they've like doubled down graphically on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona Sunshine, that was 2016. That was that was a very early game in the the consumer VR space. I don't know when in 2016 it came out. I don't remember exactly, but I mean, it was a very early game, and that's still a game that's selling. That's very popular.
So I still remember like watching, like, because I think Arizona people were covering that before I was doing anything in the VR space, and like, the thumbnails sometimes look better than the gameplay.
Right.
So do you know what I mean? So I'd look at a video and there'd be like this pistol and great detailed hands and this zombie, and I'd be like, dude, that looks amazing. And then I'd jump in and I'd be like, hold on a minute. This doesn't quite look the same.
Yep. And I mean, that was one of the first games to do a full body kinematics. I don't think, I mean, you didn't have it yourself, but to see somebody in multiplayer,
so
it was so bad. Like, to see somebody else playing in there with you, the way their body and stuff moved and reacted, I mean, it was like, what? I mean, I remember just sitting there laughing at each other in
so
these
bad,
awkward positions. Yeah,
it's so bad. It's
right.
Good. The way that, it's awesome. I love it.
It really is. So that's, for me, that's one that's on my radar right now that I'm really excited for. I can't wait to get into that.
Interestingly, I participated in a little promotion Vertigo Games did at the end of last year, when they brought Arizona Sunshine to Quest. It was a little contest, and I didn't like win one of the main prizes, but they said, oh, we're going to offer you beta access to after the fall. And I said, hey, that would be really cool. Thanks for the offer. I only have a quest, so can I still participate in this beta?
No.
And they said, well, we're going to put your name on the list anyway as like they said that they can't really share anything, but they're putting my name on the list anyway. So that's a good sign.
That's very interesting.
How long ago was that?
What's that?
How long ago was that?
That was in December.
Yeah. So the build I played is pretty much that trailer. Yeah, it's awesome, dude. You're gonna like the rockets on the hands. That is superb. It's very arcadey though. I just want to warn everyone. It does seem that like the other Walking Dead game, Onslaught. Yeah. It's very, they're going for that online multiplayer House of the. It's funny. Some people seem disappointed by it. I get a very arcadey House of the Dead style feel from these kind of games. It's just all out action, fun, over the top, crazy. I like that. I don't see a problem with it. Some people, as soon as that other Walking Dead game come out, people go, "Oh, well, that's finished. That's finished." It's
I am a little worried about that. Yeah,
I'm not worried about it at all. I think it's great. I played that one as well.
Yeah, the fact of how much hype Saints and Sinner has gotten. How is that going to affect some of the other zombie games that come out after that? Because they're not exactly the same. Survival. Crafting. Like, I don't know how all that's going to affect the other games that come out maybe after Saints and Sinners. I'm not sure, but
I think Servios, whatever you want to call them, I call them Servios. I think they're going to double down on what they've already done from what I've played, and that is effects. Like, so for example, every time you hit something or stab someone, it goes into like an X-ray mode. So automatically you'll see, kind of like Sniper Elite in a way, when you remember like seeing the bullets go in, you will see like an outline of their insides is what you do, and that was pretty cool. And this was very early footage, obviously.
Right.
I think they're going to double down on that. It's going to be over the top savageness, and stuff like that. A lot of traps, but I think the main focus will be, which Saints and Sinners hasn't got, is a multiplayer kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, the problem. I mean, at the time, I think they got the voices. I think they got voices of actors in there, and some other bits. So, they're going to do that level of shine that they do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. And possibly, from what Gaming Science Teacher has hinted at, that maybe there's a possibility we will see this on Quest, which wouldn't surprise me too much. I mean, I think obviously they'll have to do, work some magic and all of that. But, they did it with Arizona Sunshine. So, in Arizona Sunshine, back in 2016, that game wasn't really optimized the best. In 2016, I didn't have the strongest gaming PC, but I had a 1060 and one of the better i5s and stuff. But I still struggled quite a bit running that game back then. So, the fact that they've gotten that, better optimized and even running on the Quest well, I definitely think that I think every developer shoots for the Quest, obviously, because it's going to be the biggest market base right now, the most people with the headsets and stuff. So everybody shoots for Quest. So I think if it's possible, and I'm sure they're playing with it, the reason they probably kept you on that list is because, I have a feeling they are playing with it and seeing what they can do and how it runs. And
the more time that goes by, the better devs are getting at their optimizations, learning different tricks and tools of the trade to help them out with it.
Right. Well, that was like one thing with Population 1 that, people a lot of times comment about, this game, are they even still working on this? Like, it's been forever. I think it was supposed to release in early 2019 is when their planned release date was. And to me, I think it's fantastic that that game hasn't come out yet, because I think if it would have came out in early 2019, it would have done good. But by now it would have died off because there wasn't a player base big enough back then. I don't think, we didn't have the Quest yet and stuff when they were talking about doing that. And so the reason that they've pushed it back is to fully optimize it for the Quest. They want to release on all platforms at the exact same time with cross-play between everybody. So I think that's what's going to make that game get popular and stay popular for a while, is that aspect. So I think it's good that they, even though I want to play it and I want everybody else to be able to play it, I think it's good that they've delayed until they can get all of that done. And I think it's going to help them in the long run. And I'm sure the game is way better than even the builds that we saw from early 2019. So I'm pumped.
I agree. I think it's a good strategy for them. And I think any developer working on something multiplayer might be seriously considering delaying release until there's more availability of product between Index and Quest.
Right. And there was this past week, the Oculus Quest went back on sale through the Oculus website. I'm not sure if I have a feeling that's not available anymore, but they were available. So I don't know if I'm going to check real quick. I don't know if those are all sold out. I imagine they are. Do you guys know off the top of your head?
What about the Oculus? I thought in America some of them come back in stock.
Yeah. So maybe not in the UK, but yeah, in the US this past week, you could order them again off the website. Yeah, so on the website US, it's showing out of stock again for the 64 and 128. So, but I'm sure I don't know how many they had, but there's going to be another wave now of people getting those delivered that are going to be able to enjoy VR here coming up pretty soon. So
they're officially from Oculus. They are out of stock of both style of headset.
Yeah, that's what it shows here too now. I think that was earlier this week, but.
Yeah, they went pretty quick.
Yeah, and there's still, I know for Around Us, they still pop up on Best Buy's website every once in a while. You'll randomly see them show up, either the 128 or the 64, and you can quickly grab them because they don't last long, but they do pop up here and there. So.
Okay, so it looks like on Amazon.co.uk this is, the 128s are gone, but they've got 3 64 gig models. Someone's obviously selling them, I think, or, it says by Oculus, but they're £499 for the 64 gig, which is £100 more.
Yeah,
than it should be.
Yeah, and they this past week the Index went back. I think that was this past Monday. The Index went back on sale through Steam for a little while, and they sold out pretty quick too. They actually lasted a little bit longer than I expected, and then they went to around an 8-week delivery time. So the amount of supply they had to get to you before Half-Life Alyx release was pretty limited, but it did last a little while. So there's going to be another round of new VR players here pretty soon from all these shipments going out, which is really exciting. So
I honestly think Half-Life Alyx is going to be huge. I just think what it's going to do for the community is there's going to be so many new people on everyone's channels. Obviously, the big channels are going to get an influx.
Oh yeah.
And then what tends to happen is they tend to look for smaller communities or maybe different things and what people different stuff they do. And I do think, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good.
I think the biggest influx is gonna be the flat gamers, because the flat gamers are finally starting to recognize VR as getting these titles that, because for a long time there was no VR titles that the flat gamers were like, oh, we know that title and we want to play it in VR. It was all new games coming out that for us that like VR, we were super excited about, we were super happy to play. But for a flat gamer, they never had that game like Half-Life Alyx that they've played flat and they're like, oh my goodness, this is only in VR. Like I have to get VR now. This is the one game that has done that so far, a big AAA studio.
And the problem is, like we've always said, virtuality needs to be experienced. The amount I still see videos here on YouTube now, and it really pisses me off. I see these videos of these guys, and they're like, "Oh, it took forever to set up, and this crashed, that crashed." Then I'm finally in there, and then they just I don't know what they do. They just use it to promote something for themselves, and they smash it up to make it look funny. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, I can't even say how I feel when I see that.
It is something that has to be experienced. Even being at PAX East that we were at a couple weeks ago, there were so many people there that were jumping into VR for the first time. And you didn't even have to ask them. You could just see the smile on their face when they came out of that. They're laughing. They're laughing like little kids. Grown adults laughing like little kids because that's what VR does to you. Like that, I remember one of my first experiences way back with Tyler was in Toy Box, the game Toy Box. It's not even a super complicated game, but we were cracking up the whole time because it was just amazing the things like that. We're throwing things back and forth to each other, and it was just like we'd never experienced that before. It's just it definitely has to be experienced for sure, no doubt about it. But well, do you guys want to go ahead and start to get into the tough topic?
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah.
We were talking a little bit before the show about how we wanted to approach this and if we wanted to get right into it. And we were like, well, maybe we should, go over some other things first, a little happy and, we don't want to bring down the mood too much because, there is a lot of craziness going on in the world right now. And, all of us talking together a little bit before the show, we really think that there is an area now for VR that fits into the world scope more than almost it ever has. Like there's really a need for it in a lot of areas. There's so much more of a use for it in a lot of areas than there are others. And we know this is a touchy subject, so we don't want to, downplay any seriousness or anything like that. Like we take it all seriously, and we don't want to,
it's
just
a conspiracy. It's
yeah,
not even real.
right.
It's a conspiracy.
So we don't want to, we don't want to offend anybody or anything like that. But we do think that it's a discussion that is all over the place anyways. You can't go anywhere and not hear about it. It is affecting all of our lives, no matter almost anywhere in the world now. So it's not an isolated thing. So we think it's a good topic to go ahead and get into. And I know it's been hard with the three of us to really pay attention to chat. I'm going to try to watch chat a little bit too, because I am curious on everybody's thoughts about all the things that we're going to talk about. And I thought this lineup today with the three of us is really good because we have people here from 2 different countries. We have an actual teacher here that is, teachers and classes and stuff are being, not GT. He's not,
not me. No.
But there are a lot of classrooms, teachers, schools, everything are one of the first things affected so far, at least in the States, that really have been shut down and stuff. So I don't know who wants to start, but I guess we can start with gaming science teacher about what do you think going forward, what do you think are some things that VR can really benefit in the classroom space?
Yeah. So, I guess kind of a bridge, at least in my life, between what VR can do for industries and what VR can do for education was the Educators in VR conference that happened last month in February. So at this point in time, I don't think very much of the US was in panic mode. Things weren't affecting everyday life too much, but we were having conferences being canceled. GDC got canceled, and they announced F8 would be canceled and everything. And I believe that Educators in VR was planning to hold this international summit in VR for a long time anyway. And it was one of the first, large conferences offered completely in VR. They did it across platforms. Most of the sessions were in alt space, but there were a few in Engage and Roomy, Mozilla Hubs. Most of them are in alt space, and they just had sessions and speakers rolling, around the clock across all the different time zones. I thought that was really interesting. I went to a few of the sessions and, had some professional development about using VR for education, and I got to talk with people and hear their ideas, just as if I was in the same room as them, and that was really cool. And we've all seen with the different conferences and shows being canceled, people calling for them to be held in VR, and some of them, like HTC, actually moving to that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So being a teacher and stuff, if you had a classroom, like, a lot of schools right now, at least around, I know for me where I'm at, and I think for you where you're at, a lot of schools have closed down. They've gone on like a mandatory 2 to 3 week session where they're not going to be attending actual classes. And that's, for me, that's statewide. They mandated that statewide. So starting Monday, none of the kids are going to school. So, I'm not a teacher, but thinking about this stuff, like I feel like if we could have things in place for things like this that happen in the future, like virtual classrooms, being a teacher and having, still having a classroom, still having kids that are sitting in a classroom, they can see their friends, might be avatars and not actual, the actual people, but there's still a sense of being there and the camaraderie with people. And, a lot of times, a lot of the problem is with all these kids, they go home and they're going to learn on their computer, kids have lost a lot of the skill of interacting with other people because, in the whole world today, everybody's glued to their cell phone. We're texting everybody, we're chatting with everybody. There's not a lot of actual communication back and forth, where in VR, you still get that communication. Like, you're not texting each other while you're in VR. You're still having a conversation that feels real. Like, that's why I like multiplayer so much, because I get to play games with Tyler and it feels like we're actually in the same space. Oh, GT's running out of coffee. But I think that's fantastic. And as a teacher, And you can talk on this a little bit, but I think it really empowers a teacher because you're able to, the students are still able to answer questions. They're still able to raise their hand. You can call on them, they can answer questions, but it also gives you powers that you wouldn't regularly have because, if this student over here is acting up and keeps talking out and all that stuff, very easily you can mute that person so nobody else in the class can hear them, right? So they can talk and disrupt all they want, but they're only disrupting themselves. They're not disrupting the whole classroom anymore.
That's brilliant.
And you can also, because in VR, there's also, personal space boundaries. So there's things in place that you could only allow them to be in their own personal space, in their own seats, and they can't get in anybody else's faces. Or, you could do things where you can freeze them in their seat where students that are acting up. So what do you think?
Or if they suffer from like motion sickness, you could put them into some sort of spinning world for a minute.
Instead of detention.
You're going to pack it in, you're going to behave yourself. I'll send you back to the spinning place.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
Be quiet.
Yep. That's a form of detention. Yep, you're going to throw up now.
Yeah, so the past week has been really interesting for me. Middle of the week, a neighboring state shut down all their K-12 schools. And then yesterday in my state, all schools were shut down as well. And it's a really interesting scenario for me personally because I'll share with you guys that I'm actually a cyber charter school teacher. So my normal everyday teaching is in a cubicle at an office, and all of my students are at home on their computers. That's the normal for us.
When I imagine that, I imagine it like, do you remember Demolition Man? Where they were in the room and all the people like were on screens and they followed him around. Do you know what I mean? And as he walked around, I kind of imagine that. So how was that laid out in front of you, kind of thing, or is it just they just look at you on a screen? Is it?
So we have an online platform where all of the courses and the lessons are, and students log in, and they have the opportunity to do everything individually if they want to. If they just want to work on things independently and they turn them in and they're doing well, that's great. But then we have class every day in a virtual conference software where I have my webcam on and my microphone just kind of like I do right now. And the students are in there. They have the option to use a webcam or microphone if they want to. Most of them are too shy and don't want to, but they're typing in the chat. And I'm sharing things on my screen, whether I'm sharing a PowerPoint or web page video, whatever it might be. And it's really interesting what you brought up, Sean, about the powers that gives you, because if a student is using their microphone, but then they start to get out of line with it, I can mute them. Sometimes if something is said in the chat, I have kind of moderation powers. I could remove that from the chat or clear the whole chat if I need to. And those are really helpful features. It makes, sometimes for some teachers, classroom management is a third to a half of their job and detracts so much from trying to teach when you just have to try and manage the kids who are misbehaving. And having those kinds of tools really, really helps with that. On the other hand, you do miss out on the face-to-face interaction. We've been trying to help the students improve their abilities and skills to have discussion with one another. And it's difficult. It's difficult to get them to speak up. They can't see each other. I mean, if they all had their webcams and turned them on, I guess they could see each other, but it's not the same.
Right.
And it's difficult to do group work. A lot of things in a regular classroom are done in groups and the students are doing some kind of a hands-on activity. And it's really difficult in a virtual conference software to split the kids up into groups. So bringing VR into education as not just using a particular educational app, but holding class in VR is a really interesting notion, because that would bring back the face-to-face interaction. Being able to put a group of 3 students over here and another 3 are over there and they're working together. The personal connection, because you definitely miss that when you just use the flat screen virtual conference, virtual classroom scenario. So it's something that I think is going to come in the future, but I think we might be limited by our hardware at the moment. I think we've got a ways to go to catch up there.
And I mean, even hardware availability, the amount of headsets needed right now to do this on even a statewide scale would be, we don't have that availability yet, but it will get there. We'll get there to a point. I mean, I remember a time when, every school maybe had one computer, and now, I mean, there's how many computers per classroom?
How old are you?
Me?
One computer. Yeah, man. You must be
man. Now you're really going to make me feel old.
I remember quite a few computers, and I thought I was old, but one computer.
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I remember getting the one, like the iMac computer or whatever in certain classrooms. We would have one for the classroom, that little blue computer. I don't know if you guys remember those.
Did it have Wolfenstein on it?
Well, the first game I remember playing was Oregon Trail. So
yeah, Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Every computer in our school had Wolfenstein. Yeah. Every single one. Yeah,
I don't think we had that. But
that's cool.
But yeah, I mean, and I think eventually we will get there, and that's kind of what we're talking about a little bit here is how the future can be molded a little bit around what is going on right now, and the fact that just even something as simple as a classroom that could really benefit from this. And even if it's not something that's all the time, but to have that option for where kids are going right now to have to go home, and be in front of a computer and stuff. And you mentioned about some kids having a microphone and a webcam, but they don't want to use them. And my thought when you said that was that, in VR, you're going to have an avatar. So obviously, in a classroom sense, you're not going to want these crazy avatars like you see in VR chat and stuff like that, but a more scaled avatar to around what that person generally looks like. And just like for you, like your avatar that's in the corner of your screen there, something like that looks like you. But do you think that would make kids feel more comfortable and open to talk and stuff if they had that avatar instead of a webcam staring at their face and a microphone?
Yeah, absolutely. It would give them enough anonymity that I think they would feel much more comfortable. It would feel like a video game to them. They're used to having avatars in Fortnite and other games, and in Minecraft that represent them, and they're not so shy about that.
Right.
So I think that would be a great help to have the face-to-face interaction without them having to feel like there's actually a camera on their face.
Right.
Yeah, because the other thing he's worrying about if someone's not understanding something, if they're struggling, hiding that kind of emotion that would happen. You'd only see that really on a kid's face, wouldn't you? They would actually have to put themselves out and go, I'm struggling with this. That's
a huge problem for us.
Yeah.
We have those students who are really conscientious. They're really dedicated learners. And when they have a question, they'll type it in the chat, or they will call me, or they'll set up a time to meet with me, send me messages. We've got lots of channels of communication available for the students. But for many of them, they just sit there and they maybe stare at the screen and they're kind of passively staring and they're like, I just don't get it. And they don't speak up. And that's really difficult for us because I can't see, I can't physically look and see that they're staring out the window and not paying attention, or that they just have that puzzled and confused look on their face. So that is a challenge. And if we brought everyone into VR, it might be a little bit easier.
Yeah, and even as the future, like the stuff that we've seen from Facebook with the face tracking and the actual expressions and all that stuff, I mean, it's only going to get better. But one thing that came to my mind was even the fact of bullying in a sense, because if everybody has avatars, kids aren't going to get bullied because they can't wear the latest and greatest clothes. They can't afford those clothes and stuff. So, I mean, there's really, I mean, as we talk about this, it just seems to get, the scope seems to grow for me more and more of some of the benefits of this,
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. Actually.
Because I mean, even if this is like a state funded thing, down the road, in the future, where just kind of like computers are, and you get, schools have computers, I mean, really even a Quest isn't any more expensive than a computer.
I was just going to say, that's where the Quest to come in is, and it is the all-in-one product.
Yeah.
Like, there you go. That's everything you need. It's got the Wi-Fi. It's got a keyboard you can use in there in VR, and yeah, man, it is pretty much everything. The other thing, as you said about the avatar thing, is that's another part of bullying is people's physical appearances and stuff, and and there'll be none of that. So yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And even like you said, the kids that would be able to speak up more when they don't understand something because they're not as afraid of.
Well, I think it'd be standard just to when I think of this, I think of like Rec Room. So there'd be a gaming science teacher at the front of the class, traditional. Everyone would be in their virtual seats because you do click a button and you can choose the seat. and then they just put their hand up like standard. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the difference? But at the moment, obviously, like you're saying, if they've got the choice of not having a camera, if they can have the camera off, you actually don't know what is going on. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was actually at an in-person um, education conference last month, and I stopped by a booth of a really interesting company. I think they're a startup who's really just just getting started, called Naboo. And they told me about a product they have called Torchlight, and they have not found any partners yet. They're really looking to partner with a school to use this as a platform for education, just like we've been talking about. When I saw a few clips of what Torchlight looks like, it reminded me of Alt Space or Rec Room. It has those features that we're all used to, where you have an avatar, you can move around, you can choose a seat, you can load slides in to give a presentation as a teacher, and students can, look at each other face to face and interact with one another.
yeah,
A teacher can hold class in there, and I thought it was incredibly fascinating. I talked their ear off, and they talked my ear off, standing in that booth for at least 30 minutes. And they said that they're designing this to work on any VR platform, but their platform of choice would be the Quest. So you can, see what it looks like there. Pretty simple virtual classroom. I'm sure they're still in the early stages of everything as well. And I just think this is really interesting. I think there's a really good possibility that the future of education is going to move in this direction. As far as today, that Quest is rather uncomfortable and front heavy, and it might be tough to convince students to sit in that for, a 45 to 50-minute long class. And then especially if, okay, math is over, now I'm going to go to science, and then you only had a few-minute break, and now you're sitting in
yeah.
the headset for another
Or battery
45 to
life as
50 minutes.
well. There's
Right.
there's
Right.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
So
definitely some limitations right now, but with you doing this kind of work, what has that been like with the outside world? That is like all these schools are the kids are going to be at home learning, and everybody's probably scrambling to be like, what do we do with this? So has there been have you seen a lot of that in the workspace of being a teacher?
Yes. In the past week or two, schools have been scrambling, and they've actually been coming to us, cyber schools, to ask for advice and ask how we do what we do. Um, Unfortunately, as far as having your everyday lessons and that primary content, cyber charter schools have a platform that's designed for that, and you can't just make that appear out of thin air overnight. But there are a lot of other tools and just kind of general strategies and techniques that have been started to open up the floodgates and share them with everyone. Something I've noticed is that a lot of educational technology companies have been offering their services that are normally like a freemium kind of service. They've been offering the full package free of cost to school districts that need them. So there's everything from Nearpod, which lets you do kind of an interactive presentation, like a slideshow, but there are embedded questions for students to answer. There's a virtual whiteboard for them to draw on or work out a math problem on, things like that. To Flipgrid, where you give them a prompt and each student records a video response, and it's like a discussion topic, but with video responses instead of just text. And every educational technology platform under the sun you can think of are sending emails to all the
Yeah.
schools saying, hey, use our product to help you while you
yeah.
have to teach remotely for these weeks or months.
Right. And with this game here, or not this game, but this application, what you said it was called Naboo is the developers, and it's Torchlight is the name of it, I believe. So we do have a
Yes.
link in the description, and if you want to get some more information about this, or even if you're somebody looking to possibly team up with them, they I mean, I know this isn't planned for them, but this is a great time right now for an app like what they have. This is something that, because it's not like right now, it's not something that could be fully implemented because we don't have these widespread programs that are a classroom like this. But, with something like this, the fact that somebody's working on it, I think is excellent because it is going to be something down the road that, because with this whole thing right now, the whole thing is isolation. They're trying to get the spread to stop. They're trying to isolate people, keep them at home, not, they're canceling concerts, everything else. So, it is something that can really benefit where the kids can still learn, they can still interact with their friends, but they would be in a home space where they don't have to be out, in the public and with a large classroom. Because, I mean, if this thing got into one of the schools, it would spread like crazy because, kids aren't the most hygienic and, they get sick and it spreads all over the place. So
I still think that Rec Room could have smashed this. They already had. There was also because I used to interview developers with other content creators in a thing, and what you could do as well was pick that your voice was heard across the whole room, and then you could actually choose a radius of sound from each person. So that'd be really cool as well. Like you could, because then there's no disturbance for the teacher.
Right.
I guess it just depends on money, doesn't it? Like, is there money to be made at the end of the day? People do want to make stuff that helps others, obviously, but there comes a point when it's like, I just haven't got the time and the money to do it.
Right. Well, I almost think something like this has the potential to make even more money than what your typical Quest game would make. I mean, this is something that would be much more widespread use case because, when you come out with a game, you're coming out with a specific genre of a game that plays a specific way that's only going to appeal to a certain number of people, depending on the game you're making. With something like this, it's almost a much bigger market of people that could benefit from this and be interested in this than just one specific game.
And control. There'll be a lot of...
Right. Well, you always
a lot
deal
of
with
tape
that.
on this. There'll be a lot of tape on this.
And then how do you get around Facebook's advertising? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to be in a class and all of a sudden you got a 10-second video you have to watch before you can move on with your lesson plan? That stuff. I mean, that's always going to be an issue with stuff like this, I have a feeling. But I mean, even around here, all the field trips have obviously been canceled too. But that's another thing you could do straight from here. I mean, especially as camera technology gets better, as 3D VR cameras and stuff. I mean, you can go to museums. You can take your whole class to a museum. You can look at art. You could take them to Rome or wherever you want to go in the world, and see all kinds of different sites that you could never actually go on a field trip, normally. So
where have you gone down?
GT's peeking behind our brick wall somehow. I don't know how.
Sorry, I was getting. The magic is ruined. The magic is ruined. Where am I?
Oh man. But
yeah, it was interesting. When I was talking to these guys from Naboo, they mentioned that they have already integrated. I don't know if it's of their developing or they partnered with another developer. Basically a VR physics lab where you can do different physics experiments, which of course you can do things in VR that you can't in real life. Like you can turn off gravity or you can turn off friction to demonstrate things, which you could never do in a real lab. And I mentioned to them, that's really cool. I could see something like HoloLab Champions from Shell Games being in there too, which they had never heard of. So I told them about that. And if you don't know, HoloLab Champions is a VR app that's basically a virtual chemistry lab and lets you go through some chemistry experiments and really learning how to use different tools in the chemistry lab. And, like there's a door in the back of that virtual classroom and it's labeled, physics lab, another one labeled chemistry lab. And by going through it, it loads up that external, maybe like a partner app, so that students can have those really cool VR learning experiences, and it's tied to that virtual classroom.
Yeah, I mean, the limits are honestly pretty endless where we could take this conversation, but and even gym class. I mean, you could do a gym class in Box VR. You could do a gym class in Beat Saber where the kids get to have fun. They get to work off energy, work up a sweat, but they're still doing something physical. I mean, even sports games as they start to progress and come out, something like 2MD football and stuff like that. And I mean, it's just, the possibilities are really...
Sure.
Paradise, can I just say Paradise is cheating in the chat?
What did he do?
He found out what he's doing, picking a game each, and he's just he's picking all the good ones.
It was only one. The stipulations around the most anticipated game for each of us was one game.
Because I'm on screen, I'm not allowed.
Oh man, there's so many good ones. Yeah, it looks like a bunch of people are picking their games. Man, there's so many good ones too. It's hard
my
to.
games. It wasn't me who made it up. It was him.
It was my fault. I was only allowed one game. I only allowed everybody to pick one game. But
Who let you only pick one game?
I hold the magic button that hits start stream and end stream. I guess that was the only thing that really gave me the power to decide. I have no idea.
I am God.
Yeah.
I am God of this realm. I pick one game.
Oh man, that's awesome. But another thing, a little bit on the same topic with the coronavirus and stuff is yesterday we actually went to a movie last night, and the movie theater was obviously pretty empty, but I had said something to Gaming science teacher when we were setting this up, and I said that I was just getting out of a movie, and she said I think I would have picked big screen instead, which is another thing that in these times, when we're not going into these public places, and even movies, like you think about the amount of money that all of these companies are going to lose, but the movie industry just being one to talk about is you have movie premieres and everything else, and if nobody's going to the movie theater, these things are going to tank. If you in times like these, if headsets were everywhere, you could do movie premieres in big screen, brand new movie never seen before premiering in big screen, and nobody can get to the theater or wants to go to the theater, but people can go to a virtual theater in VR and they still can charge you for an average ticket,
The one
Absolutely.
thing I've sort of found by talking to people is we're like, how can we put it? Like I know most of these names in your chat, I recognise them, and we have our own social circles, and it almost ties down to YouTube and other things. Try to keep it that way. You search a particular YouTuber or channel, even though you don't subscribe to them, it will recommend that.
Right, because you've watched that one before. Or something
Yeah.
Right,
so what happens is you end up actually creating your own little circle or bubble of what you're involved in. VR is still small, and that's ultimately, even though to us it's the world, like it's everything. To other people on the outside, there's still people today I talk to. They call it the VR. It is just that is it. Every single company, every single headset, and every single game is under one title, the VR, and that's all it is. I go into work, they go, "How's the VR?" I'm like,
"What is that?"
What do you want me to say? Where do I start?
Right.
What do you know what I mean? That's just how people see it, and that's what I'm saying. Like, all this stuff's lovely. There's people out there, obviously, who care about virtuality, and to gaming science teacher, I do think it's going to be a fantastic part of the future. It just makes me wonder how ahead of time we are talking about this stuff. People are making these programs, but how far away are we from all this happening? It just makes me wonder.
To your point, Sean, that you made about the movie theaters, I think I specifically remember the governor in my state calling out shopping malls, movie theaters, and gyms. And 2 of those 3 can easily be transferred into VR, saying like avoid these kinds of public places during coronavirus. And, you can go to watch a movie in big screen instead. And I think brick and mortar movie theaters are kind of like German cootie factories any time of the year to begin with.
Right.
And, we were talking about all the different VR fitness apps. You don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to pay for a gym membership. So there are a lot of areas that VR can really start to, not be just for people who are gamers, but filter into all of our lives. And I think we are a little bit early on it. I think it's going to be a while before it grows to that mainstream. And I think that one of the biggest factors is the hardware. So like when Anthony always asks, what's the number one thing? If you got to pick just one thing, mine is comfort and form factor. I think we really got to get the headsets smaller and lighter so that people are willing to wear them and that they're more comfortable to wear. Really more closer to glasses than they are the bulky headsets that they are right now.
And talking about the gym stuff, GT was kind of making fun of us over here, doing some curls with his controller and stuff. But if you think about this future-wise, though, think about this. So once, we're starting to see the augmented reality stuff get mixed into VR. And once there's going to come a day where they're going to be able to have good enough cameras on these headsets, the tech's going to be there, that you can fully augment anything in your world. And actually, the Varjo, they actually did a demonstration when they were using a green screen and using the cameras. They could actually bring things into the physical space that you could see in VR, and it was implemented into that world. So my thought with GT and stuff, because I know he works out a lot, he goes to the gym, there's going to come a day when we can do that, where you can see your bench press machine sitting there, you can see your dumbbells, and you could literally be working out on the moon. You could have your own gym space almost anywhere, though, because if you can see those objects and they can be tracked and you can pick those up, you can have even personal trainers. You can have virtual reality personal trainers where that person's avatar comes into your space and is giving you instructions on what to do, telling you how many reps to do of what or whatever.
There are yoga classes in Altspace, I heard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people you can have in one space there. I don't know what the limit is. Like Rec Room's like 18 or 16 or something. I don't know. Does anyone know the limit of people who can be there? So yeah,
I don't know what the limit is, but it's larger than that, because there had to have been at least like 50 people in a space in some of those educator and VR conference sessions.
Yeah, so I know someone does yoga, but I mean, I don't know how they did yoga, because surely you have to have like some sort of body tracking or something. I mean, it was. I
mean, we will get there though. If we're talking about future stuff, that stuff, all those problems that we're talking about will be worked out. A lot of that will be. Yeah. And I mean, even like we talked about the conferences, we talked about, there's fashion shows, all of that kind of stuff that is being canceled. That could really be things that could be represented well in VR once the market gets to that point, and even the fact of, for a lot of these people, it would almost be cheaper. They're not renting out these massive spaces to hold 30,000 people and, whatever the numbers are. But I mean, I think there are some, I don't know that I necessarily want to get to a place of Ready Player One. Have you guys both seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I figured. But I mean, I love that movie. But I don't know. I mean, a part of this conversation is a little bit scary at the same time, because I don't want to get to a place where the world is so isolated, and the fact that none of us ever leave our homes because we can do everything from our home space, So
but the only reason it was like that is because the world was completely ruined, pretty much.
Right.
So that's what you don't want to happen.
Right. Yeah,
exactly. That causes that. But like Gaming Teacher said, it's like the reason it looks good is just a pair of goggles.
Yeah.
Light, comfortable, and all that. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
As well.
I know a lot of the push for holding virtual conferences, even before this outbreak began, was to avoid burning fossil fuels and polluting the air with travel. For all the travel that happens for regional and international conferences. As well as just your daily commute, having people work from home when they can, as opposed to commuting every day, and facilitating that with VR can save a lot of tons of carbon from being burned. So there's just benefits all around.
Yeah. I mean, I really think that we will see this stuff all grow. The conversation that we're having, we can look back on this conversation probably 10, 20 years down the road and laugh at some of the things we talked about,
That's
because
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these things are going to be implemented. I mean, there are people working on all of these problems that we've talked about throughout the show.
If there was a time frame of like VR going against traditional games, do you think we're in the NES, like the 8-bit era or the 16-bit era? Or I mean, in my mind, I would say actually with the Quest, and I don't mean this graphically, I mean with everything it actually offers and the simplicity and the thought behind it, unfortunately, it is quite uncomfortable. It is front heavy. Mm-hmm. I'm doubly confident all those things will be changed for the next version, because they listen to community and they want the best product going. I think we're just about in the beginning of the SNES era. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when looking back, because I haven't been making content as long as it's been there, because I know some people have been doing stuff for double the time I have.
Paradise Decay. I remember watching his videos way back in the day, when I was first getting into VR. I don't know when he started, but I feel like it's been a long time. But
Yeah. So
I feel like you could draw a lot of comparisons between the Quest and the very first Game Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of those. I love that thing.
Yeah, Tetris, man.
Oh yeah, I still play
Every
it on
time I
my
play,
phone.
yeah, it's wicked.
I play the
It's wicked.
version that looks just like the Tetris on the Game Boy, like the green color and everything. I love that.
Oh, what
So
was that game? One second, there's a game on Oculus Store that I picked up. Is it Vector or something? One second, I'm just gonna quickly load it up. There is a game that is like that, and it's got those colors. Vec Vectrix.
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 Huh.
Yeah,
I'll have to look that one up.
Vetrix. Yeah. So it's like that, but what you've got is like you know, you're being like the green virtual world. Kind of reminds me of Pixel Rips a little bit, but it is those colors like you're saying when you're in the Game Boy.
Yeah.
And but the board is like obviously three-dimensional, but you can spin it as well. So you're kind of like playing a double Tetris game. It's a bit weird, but it's pretty cool. I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I also wonder how much VR going mainstream has been hurt by the availability of everything. Like if Quest never sold out, like if Quest was still readily available, you could run to Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon, whatever, and still get one right now. How much bigger would it be right now if all of that stock hadn't been affected? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a real shame that the Quest. I mean, it was good that it was a hot gift for the holiday season, but a shame that there were a lot of people who wanted one and couldn't get it, and it's just continued. It's March now, and it doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon, which is a real shame. As well as now, it's not specifically affecting Quest, but the availability of headsets with Half-Life Alyx coming out. Obviously would have been much better if anyone who wanted to could just go and get an Index anytime they wanted.
Right.
There was a huge push though, and it's pretty obvious for the Quest with Christmas. There was title after title after title, and I was like doing what I do. It just felt I was doing Quest pretty much all the time. And then when Christmas like came and went, it was like, oh, it's slowed down now to the point people are going, "Where's the games, dude? Where's the games?" And it's like, come on, man, you got to realize there was a push.
Yeah.
It made sense at the time. So, but yeah, things have definitely slowed down around that area, but not for side quests that I've noticed.
Yeah.
Have you spoken about the Oculus Start program yet?
We talked a little bit about that last week.
Yeah. Oh, well, how do you think that's going to affect
I
side
don't
quests?
know. That's what we were kind of worried about, was the fact of, is that going to ultimately be the end of side quest, or what is going to happen with that? Because, if Oculus does their own thing, or another version of their app, or another, even if they make it easier to access than having to do the whole side quest thing, it could really affect side quest as a whole. But
I think they're going to phase it out.
Yeah, and I don't want them to, because I like what SideQuest has done, given us the ability to do that. So I hate to see them. I would almost rather see them partner up with them. That is what I would like to see. Partner up with them, give them easier access onto the Quest, make it less scary for people that don't like messing with that kind of stuff.
Just make it not PC. Put it on Quest.
Yeah,
put it on the Quest.
Like that.
Is,
yeah, because they already have a big user base, so just work together maybe. And because if Oculus doesn't want to take on some of those things, and they're okay with them doing it, then just make it easier and allow them to work together maybe. And I don't know that that's what's going to happen. I think that's what I would like to see happen, but I don't know. Have you messed with SideQuest at all, gaming science teacher?
No, I just haven't gotten there. Mostly because I don't have so much time.
Yeah.
And I've got a huge backlog of official Quest games to begin with.
Yeah.
But I would imagine probably this summer, when I have more time, I'll get around to installing SideQuest and checking out some of the more popular titles. I see them coming fast and furious now.
Yeah.
They advertise some of them on Twitter when there's a new title on SideQuest. And it's interesting because it's a lot more of larger volume, lower quality stuff on SideQuest, more like you might find on Steam.
It reminds you like a penny arcade.
I can see why it's
style of stuff, like exactly what we're looking at now.
Ducka.
Yeah, and do you know what? I thought
called.
it was really funny, and I thought it was pretty cool. But it's one of those things like, do I make a video on it?
Right.
It's really hard, because the amount of stuff on there, I could probably make.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, it's really tough. But I
This
want to
just
show my support. But
this just
Fluke,
interested me because of Duck Hunt. I love Duck Hunt
oh, I
back on
love
the old
Duck Hunt.
Nintendo. So anytime we get something like that, I'm like, what is this?
But what you want to do, you want to get if you've got Quest Link or XPC VR, Send 3DR or 3D Send VR, sorry, is where you want to be at. That's what you want to do because then you get to play NES games in virtual reality in full 3D, and you will play the
Yeah, that is
original
cool.
Duck
Yep,
Hunt,
that
not
is awesome.
this.
Yeah.
You will play the original.
Right.
But I just want to say, so Fluke Rogi is obviously a great person. Always see him in here, and his comment is actually what I was kind of thinking earlier when we was talking about the Quest. He's put, you could argue that the lack of availability coupled with the imminent Alex release is actually making VR more desirable
Yeah.
rather than hurting it.
And that is another aspect to the argument. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of Tyler's sense when we talk about that he thinks that the limited availability and the fact that you can't get this stuff makes it even more desirable for people, which we do know that is a psyche thing that kind of happens, but
Right.
Oh, it's a human thing, isn't it? Yeah.
You want what you can't have.
right.
Yeah, and you take stuff for granted when you have it. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You want something really badly. Like, as I said, or before I mentioned, PSVR, I played it in April 2016, and I had to wait till, I think it was October for it to come out. I could not stop thinking about it all the time. I was looking for every single video on YouTube. I probably watched the Batman Arkham Asylum video or whatever it is, Arkham VR. I don't know. I try not to exaggerate over 100 times.
So
I was just like, I'm so excited to see this, and I think there is that side of it as well.
So
It's actually really funny. That's exactly what's happening right now with people and toilet paper, is that they see other people hoarding it. They see empty store shelves and they think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to get some. So now I want to try and run out and find it wherever I can. So you really could make the argument that something similar might be happening with VR if people
Right.
are seeing everyone play Half-Life Alyx and
yeah.
seeing, oh, it's really tough to get your hands on an index. So now I want that even more.
Right. And also, though, I think it's Khalil said, patience is limited, though. That's for a week or two is good. After that, it's just frustrating. So that is the one thing that I worry about, is that the availability is so scarce, and we don't, especially now with this coronavirus stuff, hampering production of all of these things. If is it going to be something that people are super hyped about, and then it takes so long for the availability to become a thing that they're not interested in it anymore? Is that going to happen?
Oh, I don't know. It depends,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Because I don't think that happened to people who have tried it. I think it might happen to people who have just heard about it,
Right.
possibly.
And
Because
I
there's
think-
still. Yeah.
I think all these releases too, Half-Life Alyx being the big one, but there's still, even the games that we talked about, there's all these other games that are coming
Medal of
out.
Honor.
Right. There's games that haven't been announced yet that we're going to hear about soon, that hopefully it can keep that hype train rolling of these games. Like, man, I can't wait to play Half-Life Alyx. I can't wait to play, Medal of Honor, all
I think
these
it's going to be
games.
huge. Honestly, I really do believe that it's going to cause a mass influx. And who said it earlier? Phil Yarn said, literally change it overnight by Rockstar doing Grand Theft Auto in virtuality.
Oh, man. It'd be over.
Like obviously, most of us have played it now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the latest mod especially is fantastic.
It is
Makes
really good.
It's really good, but still,
Mhm.
and from someone who's not hyper techy, I've sort of learnt as I've gone, because I was one of those people that used to do something and I'd get the blue screen of death, and I'd be like,
Yep.
I hate this.
That
I hate
happens to
you."
me a lot too. That's when I call Tyler and be like, dude, what is going on? And he can,
Yeah.
he can usually figure it out, but
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
follow the instructions to the letter, and I'll still
Yep.
be sitting there going, "Well, I can't get it to work." Do you know what I mean? And
right.
and so it's one of those things, and I think that's where, if you can get rid of that and natively get it to work, you've got a winner. And I do
And-
think Half-Life is going to be massive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And even with GTA, playing the mod, you're still using a controller. You still don't have hand tracking. And I mean, once you get that aspect into that game, I can't even imagine playing that game built for VR from the ground up. I mean, that would be fantastic. And I think we're going to get there. I mean, I think Rockstar, I think all of them are going to jump on board eventually. And I think the things like Half-Life Alyx help speed that up maybe a little bit, because they see, the hype around Half-Life Alyx and all of that, and what can be done in modern day VR that, back in 2016 and stuff, people weren't as interested because the things that were out there weren't as impressive, to see on a screen or whatever else. So I think it is it's going to push people to realize they're going to have to do something.
I just want to say as well, when you
Absolutely.
talk about people having to do something, guys, not if everyone could like this video, that'd be really great. And I'll tell you why, because you got someone who's disliked it, and there's no, do you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day,
That
there's
always
67
happens,
people
that's it.
watching. It's free. It will, and what it'll do, it'll get more people coming over to these guys' channels, because that's how YouTube works. Unfortunately, you've got to go out there and go, can everyone please like the video?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, but unfortunately, that is how you guys will get more popular, and they're free, and you know what I mean, it just help you guys out. So if you want to see Coffee VR and Render Reality grow, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. And both of them here also have a channel that we talked about it right before we went live. I was like, man, I didn't get your guys' links in the description, but those are going to be added in there after the show. GT puts out a video, almost every day probably. I can't even keep up. I mean,
my wife's not happy about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. But Gaming Science Teacher also does videos, not so much when school's in session and stuff. Time is limited for all of us. We all work. We all work jobs and stuff that this is more of a side thing that we do because we love it. All of us do. That's the whole reason all of us are here right now, is because we love VR, and we like to talk about it. We like to play it, and ultimately, if VR grows, it helps all of us, because there's better games for us to play. There's more people for us to play with, more people to interact with. So, I mean, that's really what it's all about. But I have a feeling Gaming Science Teacher will probably be doing more videos in the summertime. So, but it's been awesome. I remember watching you streamed, what was that game? The scary game. I can't think of it now.
Oh, Dried Halls.
Yeah. that was awesome to watch. So it was really cool.
I do want to say thank you to everyone who has clicked like on the video. Thank you very much.
Yeah, seriously.
That's cool.
Much
That's what it's all about. Thank you.
Yep.
No, that's exactly why, even though I won't be playing Alex because I have a Quest and I don't have a gaming PC, why I'm still excited for it. Because just like you said, the more that VR grows, the more it benefits all of us. So if Half-Life Alex makes VR get that much bigger, then there's going to be that many more developers who will put out a game on Quest that I can play. And then, I don't know, maybe one day, years down the road, they'll port Half-Life Alex to the Quest.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you got Boneworks. They're bringing out. I don't think it's going to be Boneworks, but they're bringing out a game based on the Boneworks universe.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be fantastic, because I mean, like with a lot of people that own the Quest, they do see some of these, bigger titles and bigger games that, once they get the Quest and they get hooked on VR and they love what it is, I'm sure they are very hungry to play these games like Half-Life Alyx. And luckily, with the Oculus Link and stuff, they do have the ability to, but there's still, an almost $1,000 PC that's involved to be able to do that. One of the things we actually could talk about a little bit that was in my notes is the Shadow PC stuff, and they're actually working on a system that's going to work with Oculus Quest, that you can basically, you don't even need a gaming PC, and you can use the Shadow PC system to play games like Half-Life Alyx on an Oculus Quest without having to
virtual desktop.
Well, so you can do it through virtual desktop. You can do the same sort of a thing, but Shadow PC is actually working on their own now as well, and supposedly it's going to make it a little bit easier than having to go the virtual desktop route. The one thing right now is obviously still the latency. I mean, that's going to be an issue for the time being, but there's going to be a day as well where that's not going to be as big of an issue. So, I mean, ultimately, that might be how we all play VR, down the road. We might not need gaming PCs.
That'd be amazing. I'll be like a PC for like £300-400, and it'd be like, I'm done. Just a monthly subscription.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
have you got people who've used it in your Discord and stuff and community and Shadow?
I haven't used the Shadow stuff. I've done the virtual desktop stuff, but not through Shadow PC. So I haven't personally messed with Shadow PC at all. I mean, luckily I have a good enough PC that I'm not really too worried about it right now. But I mean, the cost of a gaming PC and keeping up with a gaming PC, because, a couple years down the road, you can have the latest and greatest and it's not good enough anymore, a couple years down the road. So that'll eliminate some of the cost that is around VR and using PC VR. So I think that's cool.
Someone said to me, and this is another conversation, I guess. I was talking to someone at work and they were a bit into PCs, and they said virtuality is a scary thing to get into because it's at that state where it's evolving very quickly.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, tech also is, I guess you got to keep buying the better stuff to get the best out of it,
right?
Because obviously the power you need for a VR game is going to be a lot more than a traditional game.
Right.
So that put someone off for me. Yeah. They were just like, I don't know, man. I don't really want to chase that thing. And even though I guess it even comes down more to optimization,
Yeah.
you know, which you can tell that you play a game one day and it doesn't even look better than something you played the other day, but it'll skip frames and it'll drop, you know, and it won't particularly work very well. So yeah, there's that bit, you know, when you tell people how much a PC is,
Yeah.
you know, I hate answering that question. When people say to me, "How much is your PC then?" Because I'm talking about it, and I'm like, "Oh crap," because I know when I say it,
yeah,
they're gonna go,
they just shut down.
yeah. They're gonna go, no, I don't want to do that, and that's where the Quest, I guess,
Yeah.
comes in the PlayStation.
I mean, we see those questions all the time too online of, is now a good time to buy a Quest, or are they going to come out with a new one in a couple months? You know, I see people ask those kind of questions all the time because it is something people think about, you know, that it is an expensive hobby to get into. I mean, the Quest is the most affordable way to get into it, but people are still scared that they're going to spend $400 or $500 on that Quest, and 2-3 months down the road, Quest 2 comes out, and they're like, oh, well, I want that one, but I spent all my money on this. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you agree with me as well, though. But it's definitely worth it because I think even with like the Go, I still see them sell. All right, they're 50% less, but they're second hand. So end of the day, I still think maybe possibly you've only invested, if it's £400, £200 to have a good year's worth of amazing content.
Yeah, for sure.
Virtual experiences.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's never been a better time to get into VR, if you ask me. I mean, I don't think there's anything imminent coming out that's gonna, you know, make the current headsets obsolete. You know, it's not like they're going to be usable today and not usable tomorrow. So I think it's a great time to get in because I think it's going to be a little while before we get the next, you know, Quest 2 and stuff like that. And there's so much great content coming out. So if there's stuff already out there, you know, that you want to play and you see people playing Beat Saber or whatever it is, you know, it's only going to get better. It just keeps getting better and better. So I don't think people should be missing out. Like, why miss out on what there is now and what's coming in the very future because you're scared to buy, you know, what's current, which I think it's going to stay current for a little while, but
yeah, I would recommend the Quest without hesitation to anyone who's interested in getting into VR, especially if you don't already have a PC, you know, aren't sure where to start. If you can get your hands on, if you can find one in stock somewhere, right. I would recommend. And I don't get the feeling that Facebook is going to try to put out a brand new product anytime soon. I feel like they're going to try and get as much mileage as they can out of the Quest and continue, like they've been, you know, adding features in firmware like hand tracking, and there's going to be even more features to come. So I don't feel like you're going to be wanting Quest 2 anytime soon because I feel like they're going to try and get a lot of mileage out of Quest 1.
And honestly, I don't even know that the first Quest is fully tapped out yet. Like, I mean, there's been articles about how you can get, you know, 67% more headroom with the Quest using machine learning. I mean, there's just what they're doing with the current hardware is still blows my mind. I mean, I remember the first time I put an Oculus Quest on my head and I was like, holy crap, this is running off a Snapdragon 835. You know, like I never thought it was going to be as good as what it is with what they've achieved. And they're still constantly making better. Like you said, the hand tracking, you know, Oculus Link. So it just keeps getting better and better, really.
And I still think the Quest actually offers some of the best experiences of virtuality, not graphically, but that freedom, wirelessness. You know, you know, that's something that, you know, I'll go back. Obviously, I love my Rift and I love PCVR, but man, that cable, it's so annoying. You know, it's like, oh, please.
Once you don't have the cable, you realize how annoying the cable can be. That's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Would it be possible to talk about the folding?
Yeah, that is something that I've totally forgot about that. I haven't been looking at my notes, and I apologize. I haven't even been looking at chat as much as I want to. It's hard with 3 people because we get so deep into the conversation.
I'm cool. Just... Hello, everyone in the chat. How you doing?
But yeah, let's get into that. This is some stuff that GT came across actually just right before the show, I think. So you want to go ahead and explain how it works?
So I don't know if you guys remember on PlayStation 3, there was something called folding at home, or something like that, and basically you could lend your computational power of your PlayStation to help medical science, I guess, and you know, them trying to, it comes into one big supercomputer, and you get sent certain packages, whatever it is, you know, whatever the current thing is. And at the moment, the current thing is coronavirus. There's also like Alzheimer's, cancer. I think cancer's probably been in there forever. And yeah, so basically what you do is you download. There is a tweet. I did put it in your Discord. I did put it in this chat earlier, but I don't know because I'm not a moderator, so I don't think it would have worked.
We need to add some moderators.
Yeah, whatever it is, but yeah. So all you do is open the program, and then if you're not doing anything with your PC in particular, but I mean, I was doing the show earlier with it, and it was fine. Is you just lend your GPU and or your CPU, and you basically help them.
Yeah.
Help them get closer to figuring out a cure or figuring out prevention or just figuring it out. So yeah, GNVRs. I loaded up Folding at home already. I ran it. Issue is it uses 100% like by default. GNVRS, there should be a slider, and you can choose how much power it uses. So
Yeah,
even
he
if you
said
set
you
it to
could
low,
need to edit the CPU configuration to use less, is what he said.
yeah, like literally, like I remember seeing an older thing of it, but now it's just a slider. It
Yeah.
should just be a slider. It's quite, but yeah, I mean, I didn't check my tasks to see how much CPU it was using, but it helps, it
Yeah.
helps. And if you're not doing anything, definitely jump on that.
Yeah, and sorry about gaming science teacher keeps resizing. We've had some issues. It's been good most of the whole show, but we've still been running into the issue where it changes the aspect ratio of the feed based off of bandwidth and stuff like that. So we need to figure that out. If anybody knows the actual workaround to fix that, let us know, because we've tried a couple different things. It's been a pain in the butt, but hopefully it's not too
It
distracting.
hasn't changed mine because I'm actually in the coffee shop.
Yeah,
I'm the
I
only
mean,
one here.
He's right
That's
next
it.
to me. I can't
Yeah.
believe they actually let him in. They actually let him fly in just for this show from the UK. I thought that was pretty fantastic. Special pass.
Crazy. I had 2 weeks of testing before I got in here.
Yeah, that's true. And you'll have to go into quarantine for 2 more weeks. But honestly,
It's
if they
fine.
do, my thought is like, I don't want to be quarantined to my house. But if they quarantined me to my house for around 2 weeks, right around the time of Half-Life Alyx release, I don't know that I'll be that upset, honestly. If I can't go to work for 2 weeks and I can just play Half-Life Alyx nonstop, that would be pretty fantastic.
There you go. So a lot of people in chat luckily do know a lot about folding by the seams. They've heard of it. James M. For those seeking a way off this planet, I think there's even a folding program to help us find new worlds.
Yeah, I think
So
that's what gaming science teacher was talking about, right? The one you were talking about.
Yeah. So the folding has to do with proteins and is specific to health and finding cures for diseases and things like that. But the idea of borrowing people's unused processing power is not a new idea. So I think probably as far back as the 90s, SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, had a screensaver. And so when you weren't using your PC and your screensaver would come up, then it would borrow your computational power to analyze signals that were coming in from radio telescopes to see if there were any patterns coming from space that would indicate intelligent life. And unfortunately, I think they actually just shut that program down, but it was running for a really long time. And it borrowed people's computational power from their PC when they weren't using it. And so this folding program is borrowing your power to analyze how these proteins are folded to try and solve medical problems. So it's a really neat idea that, you're not using your PC or your gaming console anyway, so why not contribute that power to a good cause?
also, if you want to do this, there on that tweet, if you link it, and NVIDIA was the one who posted it, you basically have to put in, you don't have to, but if you put in a team name or a team number, then all the computational jargon, what gaming science teacher is talking about, will go to that particular team. And I think that team is concentrating on coronavirus. So
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It really is.
the made up disease is not real. It's the world's flat and coronavirus is not real.
Oh boy.
All right.
That's awesome. But I think that is pretty much everything we wanted to get into today. I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to add, but I know I'm very grateful for you guys to come on to the show because it was very, very short notice. It was literally last night that I kind of put some stuff out there and stuff, and you guys were willing to come on. And I really thought it was a great group of people to really dive into what we were going to be discussing with the coronavirus and stuff. I did want to talk a little bit about what's been going on in your local places with the coronavirus, because I know with GT being in the UK, I am curious of how are the schools shutting down there? Are things shutting down? Are you seeing some of the same stuff that we're seeing right now?
There's certain things stepping in. My wife knows a bit more about it because she's in the dentistry business, so they get a lot of the up-to-date stuff very quickly about what to do because obviously they're seeing members of the public all the time. As far as I can see, where I am now, nothing is closed. They're thinking of stopping like mass meetings of some sort. Nothing in England, as far as I know, or the UK, nothing is closed as such. Ireland, I think, are the ones that have closed the schools and the colleges. I don't know what else they've shut, but it's all going to happen anyway. There's memes out there now that we're the only country just washing our hands. Everyone else is locking down and doing all this stuff, and we're just like, yeah, we wash our hands, but we got it under control.
But at least from my perception, I mean, the United States is very big, and from my perception, here, kind of near the East Coast, things escalated really fast just this past week. I mean, in the course of the week, we went from kind of what you were saying, nothing's closed, everyone's talking about please wash your hands, cover your cough. Yeah. We went from that to entire states closing all of their schools in a matter of days. So things have really changed quickly.
It will happen. I expect that as well. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I'm just carrying as normal. I've always washed my hands. I've always, I guess you take a little bit more, when you come to coughing and stuff, they talk about coughing into your elbow, into your sleeve, not onto your hands. You don't touch anything and all that stuff. But apart from that, just, I don't know, just do what you're told. I mean, if you're told to isolate, make sure you isolate. Because that's the thing. I thought to myself, when they're going to close these schools, you can have a load of kids going out. And it's just like they're going to go and have fun elsewhere and do whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, so like Amy's science teacher said, it escalated very quickly here in the States. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff being affected, like with the kids being home for school and not going to school. That affects, parents that have jobs that count on the kids being to school to go to work. Where I'm at, they're talking about shutting down public transportation. So it definitely escalated really quickly. Yeah, I don't know how far it's going to go. I mean, I'll still be working next week and stuff. Who knows what's going to happen? My wife is, she's actually a mental health counselor and does that kind of stuff. So she does a lot of face-to-face stuff, and she started looking into some home-based stuff where you can do, use programs kind of like Skype, stuff like that, to have sessions and stuff. So really for us in the States, it just all of a sudden within the past couple of days started affecting almost everything, and we don't know when it's going to stop. And like I see some people in chat talking about toilet paper, which is one of the things. We went to the grocery store on, I believe, Thursday, because we usually go to the grocery store every weekend. We get groceries, so we're like, well, we should probably go ahead and get some groceries because people are buying everything up. So we went ahead and got some groceries, and the aisle of toilet paper was completely empty. And this was early on, so I know now it's getting worse and worse. So it is pretty crazy, and we don't know how far it's going to go before things get better. But
the chat is actually so brilliant. Someone's just said that I think Trump did something right. So Paradise is saying a lot of people actually over here are saying Trump did the right thing. Early on. Yeah. I think it's the anti-Trump people that don't want to say it, but a lot of people are saying you can't do too much. I mean, Beer Victims just said he's been on TV. He has it.
Really?
Apparently so. I'm not sure if that's true, but is what he's saying. I mean, I wouldn't pop into someone's chat and just make something up, but I'm sure there's people out there who do.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is it is just containing it, keeping it from spreading, massively, globally, that I think that's the biggest focus right now. And with our talks about VR, that was one of the things, that can help benefit it, because I know for me, if I end up getting my work gets shut down or something where I'm not going to work for a couple weeks, like VR will be a big thing that, like at work, I hear people talk about, what am I going to do if I'm not at work? There's no sporting events going on. There's no this, I can only watch so much TV. I'm like, man, I'm going to be in VR the whole time. Like, I'm not even going to be upset.
Does anyone actually know anyone with it? Does anyone know in the chat? Does anyone know anyone? Because that's the thing. Like someone was saying the other day, we've not had any names go to with the deaths. Like when someone says, "Oh, so-and-so died," it's like, "Oh right, so-and-so's got it." Does anyone know anyone?
I saw a member of the kind of this community, someone who's probably been in your chat, who said that they had. I'm not going to say who they are because I don't know if they want that, but I did see one person in kind of our circle community who mentioned that they had it.
Huh. I mean, luckily, if you do have it, it can be serious, and you definitely need to seek medical attention. We're not trying to give out any advice, but luckily, it seems to be, mainly affecting the elderly. Most, younger, healthier people can fight it off. But But it is, I mean, honestly, when we started doing this Coffee and VR show, this was never a topic that I ever foreseen us talking about. You know, I never thought some kind of virus was going to be, you know, the main theme of one of our shows. It's still kind of weird to me. And it's not even something I really want to talk about. You know, I would rather be talking about something more cheerful and, you know, something that's not a negative thing. But, you know, it's just so big right now and it's all over everywhere. We just thought it was a topic that we could dive into a little bit and
there's nothing wrong with it, dude. I think it's like it's what, as you said, it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a podcast for everyone to chill out, drink coffee, and chat.
Right? Yeah. I just
Paradise
never saw it happening. I never thought we'd be talking about this. You know, it's about VR, but
he's got 3 friends in isolation. BBC News says Trump has been tested. Is waiting for results. Now that'd be amazing if he gets it and he doesn't really get anything from it. That'd be awesome because maybe that'd be a great way of playing down how serious it is. Because the problem is if you don't know anyone with it, like for example, as far as I know, if you've got flu-like symptoms, people are now thinking, Jesus, everyone's got coronavirus. They probably haven't.
Right, and that's the bad thing. Like even
the cold, you know, or whatever.
And they even said that, you know, the flu season is going to be bad this year. You know, I suffer from some spring allergies, so, you know, I get a scratchy throat and stuff, and I'm like, oh no, you know. So I know a lot of it is, you know, the bad thing with the media is things get, you know, so hyped up and stuff. I mean, it's you know, just you got to be careful in what you do and seek medical attention if you do have some issues. But
if I could just kind of, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you first. Sorry.
If I can just kind of insert my little PSA in here, I will say that what's happening right now is one of the main reasons I am a science teacher is helping, you know, the future members of society understand the information that they're seeing. You know, I'm working with my students right now, helping them try to figure out what are reliable sources of information versus what are rumors, and don't spread rumors and things like that. So, so during this time, I would, you know, recommend for you guys to really think about where information is coming from and, you know, look for sources like the World Health Organization and follow their recommendations. When you hear the World Health Organization and the CDC and all of your state departments of health telling you to frequently wash your hands and use hand sanitizer, it's not just trying to brush you off and be like, you know, oh, they're just telling us to wash our hands. What a silly piece of advice. No, that's actually really sound advice. Yeah. And following whatever orders are in place if your schools or workplaces are closing, and really just avoiding, you know, public gatherings of people is going to be really helpful, not necessarily just because you should be afraid that you're going to catch this and you're going to get really sick, because younger and healthier people probably aren't going to have very severe symptoms, but for the sake of everyone in the community who could be more vulnerable because they're elderly or they have underlying health conditions or they have compromised immune systems, by you taking those actions, by you actually just washing your hands more frequently, and coughing and sneezing into your arm, you're going to be helping limit the spread so that there are fewer vulnerable people who catch it, and there will be fewer people who catch it who are inundating your local hospitals and healthcare places. So definitely, you know, take those common sense precautions that you're hearing from places like the World Health Organization.
And I mean, really, people should be washing their hands anyways. You know, like these are things, these are good practices to have. So, I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but I'm sure we've all been in public restrooms before where people just walk right out the door and they don't wash their hands. So if nothing else, at least this is teaching people the importance of the act of washing your hands. It's just
thing is, right? No, I don't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, because at what point did you not do that anyway? That's the thing. Like, does it take a epidemic for you to go, do you know what I'm going to do?
I'm going to wash my hands.
I'm going to go for a crap, and then I'm going to wash my hands and see how I feel. I feel good, I feel clean.
Right, I know.
Brilliant. I'm going to do this
terrible. It's terrible. Seriously. So,
oh, man.
So hopefully everybody is doing that already. But if you're not, definitely it's a good skill to have. You should be practicing. So.
It irritates me. I'm like, at the gym, dude, I see, so I have told one person to wash their hands. Just because I've got the.
I mean, it's pretty bad that every bathroom you go in now, there's signs everywhere that say, like on the door before you leave, it says wash your hands. You know, it's bad that it has to be that, you know, this to bring people to really wash their hands. So hopefully everybody's washing their hands. But Well, yeah. So we did start a little Gleam giveaway before the show. We're gonna give away some Mammut grips. I thought about it when I saw GT doing some curls on his controllers. Are those Mammuts that you still have on there?
What did you call it? Mammuts?
Wow. Well, how does everybody else say it?
No, I like it. No, I like it. I call them mammoths. But
I don't really know how yours, but I've always said Mammut. I have no idea how you're actually pronounce it. But
That's great. That's like a new Haribo sweet. Yeah. So. Yep. Yeah, these are fantastic.
They are really
good. These are fantastic. Yeah.
They work good for games like Box VR, Thrill of the Fight, any kind of throwing game like 2MD football and stuff like that. It works really cool to have those. So we do have a set of those to give away. So the link should be in the description. There is a description for the stuff that GT was talking about with using your computer power there, or maybe we didn't put that link. We will put that link. There is a link for the program that your gaming science teacher was talking about for the schools and the activities and all of that. And we will get a link to both of those channels. I'm sure most of you probably follow them already. If you don't, Gaming Science Teacher and Gamertag VR are their handles on YouTube, so you can look them up. So, but yeah, man. We definitely appreciate you guys coming on because it was really short notice. I think it was a great conversation. I was really looking forward to the three of us getting on once we got this figured out, and I thought it would be really good conversation. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and hopefully everybody can stay safe out there and wash their hands and really enjoy some VR here coming. Hopefully get some extra time.
What we got out next week? Is there anything coming out next week? Anything anyone's looking forward to next week in the chat at all? Because I can't
think of any releases next week. The big one is March 23rd. That's the only date I can think about.
March 23rd. So we got. I know on the PlayStation side of things we've got Paper Beasts.
Oh yeah.
Out at some point. I've actually got it. I just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, that was at PAX.
Did you play it?
No, we didn't play it at PAX though. I mean, it was a crazy time of running all around. We should have taken the time to play that, but we didn't play it. But
so what did you get to check out, dude?
Well, we checked out pretty much all of the Quest stuff, like the Space Team VR. We did
played that one.
Smush TV.
Is that when you're on the deck of the thing? And
and you're all babbling crazy names of things, trying to get everybody to do and work together. It's really cool. We played that. We played Smush TV. We played Takeling. So we were playing those games like against each other and stuff. So I mean, it was awesome. Really, we talked to a lot of developers and stuff, and that was our main focus. But we did jump into a lot of the VR games too. So it was a ton of fun. So. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be the only one we get to go to this year because there aren't going to be any other ones. So, hopefully everybody follows in the footsteps of HTC though and does some online, in VR conferences and stuff. And I'm still anticipating a ton of announcements coming up here pretty soon around the time of GDC and F8 and all of that in E3. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we see. I think there's going to be some surprises this year. I think there's going to be some games announced that none of us had any idea about.
I think Upload VR's E3 is going to be they call it that. I don't think they're going to be able to call it that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they said they're working on the name and the logos and everything, but basically like the Upload E3 VR showcase, whatever they're going to end up calling it. But I am looking forward to that, where they're going to release all the new trailers, and I'm sure we're going to see some more footage of the games that we know are coming. So, like Snowdrift and stuff like that. Hopefully we get some more info. So
when's Lies Beneath? When's that out?
That's supposed to be soon.
I don't see a date on it. Looking here at the Quest, the only thing I see a date for at the moment is Down the Rabbit Hole, but that's not until the 26th.
That's awesome as well. That is really good. Yeah. That is really good. It's a lot better than when I played it at Gamescom. I played it again recently. I was gutted. I thought it was the whole game, right? I didn't read the email. All I read was the embargo thing, and I didn't care about anything else. I was like, as long as I don't break that. I don't really have time to read stuff.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I started playing it, and it ended. Just I was getting really into it.
Oh,
I was like, this game is fantastic. And then it just stopped, and I was like, no.
Yeah, there should be a lot. I mean, like you said, Phantom Covert Ops should be coming soon. Lies Beneath, Facebook Horizons, hopefully pretty soon. Hopefully before F8. Pixel Rip 1995. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that is coming that we know about. So I'm looking forward to it. I still think this is going to be a great year for VR. 2020 is still going to be a big year. Hopefully they can get the supply chain down of everything and get headsets back on the shelf so people can experience all the stuff that we're talking about here. So
yeah, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. No worries. Thanks for having me on, man. Thank you.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys coming on. I really do. We'll have to do it again. Maybe we can if we can ever find Tyler and get him out of quarantine, you know, maybe he can join us too. So, but hopefully
thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for coming. We really do appreciate it. So I think that's it. Sign up for the Gleam giveaway. Check out their channels. Don't forget to subscribe to them. And we will see you guys in the next one, or maybe see you in VR too. I think some people are going to be playing some Dash racing after the show today at some point. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe
Hyper Dash. You guys have got to check out Hyper Dash.
Yeah, we got to get in there. We got to get in there.
So good. You got to check out Hyper Dash.
I keep hearing about it, so I'm going to have to jump in there. I got to do it before Half-Life Alyx. So especially if maybe next week it might be a slow work week. So, but all right. Well, thanks again, everybody, and thanks again for everybody in the chat and everybody that participated. And sorry if I didn't get your comment read, but I usually do try to read through a lot of those after the show. So later, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.